The following is the extract of a course linked in the description.
Guys, commitment and consistency. Those are really key. When you're learning something, anything new, or if you're trying to develop any skills, commitment and consistency, those are what you need. So it's a quote that I heard from Denzel Washington, right? When he won an award. I'm gonna add the link to the YouTube video that actually show you that part with him winning the award and talking about this. But maybe you heard it from somebody else, but I heard it from Denzel Washington. So without commitment, you will never start, right? So you committed right now, you decided to start something, and it could be for any number of reasons. And but the more reason you have, the better it is, right? It just fuels you even more, right? But what's even more important than starting is actually finishing. And without consistency, and consistency here, you can replace it or you can alternate it with discipline, you will never finish, right? So those two are really important, commitment and consistency, commitment and discipline. That's what you need as you're gonna be going through this course, or as you're gonna be making bits, or anything in life really. That's really key over here, right? So the main thing that might be a distraction, or the main thing that might be an obstacle when you're going to be going through this course is actually finding time, right? So with finding time, I would recommend that you right now you look over your calendar, right? And if you do not have a calendar, so let me just pause here. If you do not have a calendar, that would be even more important for you to set one, right? So it's part of being productive and having on the calendar all the different tasks that you need to do, all the different meetings and everything that you need to have. So in your calendar right now, try to look at a spot where you feel it's a little bit flexible, you have a little bit more time, and trying to see if you can fit there, right? 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes. I think that would be the best. 5 is a little bit really, if you're really tight, if you really, you really don't have uh, a lot of bandwidth there, a lot of flexibility, that would be really the minimum. It might not seem like much, but multiply it times 365 days or 300 or times 300, whatever days there within a year, then it start to add up, right? And that's just 1 year. When you go ahead, you do times 2, times 3, times 4 years, 5 years. Sorry, sorry. It start to really add up even more. So the thing here is, just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry guys. Seems like I had my throat there that was dry. I just took a little bit of water. So yeah, so basically those 5 minutes, when you multiply it times 300 days or times whatever number of years after that, it really start to add up, right? Um, there have been studies that have shown that if you go ahead and decide to have a focus, um, if you have they selected a number of people and they try to see what was the best amount of time for them to actually retain the information that they were given. It seems like the sweet spot for them for focus concentration was between 45, focus learning or focus concentration was between 45 and 1 hour, right? Anything above that, then the amount of information that they retain really dropped quite a bit. And that's why sometimes if you do a little bit of research there, especially even if you're working, you're gonna see some that are gonna say after every time after 1 hour, take a breather, right? Stop, stretch, walk, do some meditation or those kind of things, and come back, right? So usually it's to help a little bit with the brain, just resting a little bit more before uh, trying to learn even more than that, right? So That's what I would say, to carve out either 5, 10, 15 minutes or even 30 minutes and just really be consistent with it. You can take a break, right? Sometimes on the weekends, right? For 1 days, 2 days, but just go back right away to it. There will be times where maybe there is an emergency, you could be sick, or you need to travel, or there is something, a project that came in that you really need to take care of. As soon as you finish with it, make sure that you come back right away and get back to your normal flow and your consistency, right? Because if you don't do that, you're gonna lose your flow, and it's gonna be harder to get back on track, right? So when I was in when I started learning about music production, at the time I was going to college, and I was going to college in France. And the way the school system works is you basically in class for about I can't remember anymore, but it's from 8 to 5, from 8 to 6, or 9 to 6, but it's for a long time, right? And they really trying to give you a lot of things to do while you're in class, and that makes it that when you go home, even though you're still supposed to study, it's a little bit less compared to what you would need to do in the United States or Canada. In the United States of Canada, the class could be just for 1 hour or 2 hours, but right after that, so they give you the minimum, but it's up to you to go ahead and do your research and try to study for the rest of it. So for every 1 hour, you basically supposed to study for, I believe, about 4 hours, if I remember correctly, right? So that made it that when I was going home, I usually had a little bit more time that on my hand, right? So I could be just working on making beats from 8 p.m. to midnight, from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., and sometimes on the weekend all day, or I could go from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., just basically like 12 hours just trying to, learn and make some new tracks there. It's something that I cannot do anymore, right? And it's something maybe that you cannot do right now. You have maybe kids, you have a wife, or you have friends and family, you have your work that you need to take care of, some other things. So there are so many priorities that makes it that it's a lot difficult to be able to do anything for a very long period of time. And that's why fighting right now and putting that into your calendar, and having adding even some notifications so you get reminded every time to to finish that task is even more important, right? So I'm gonna finish with a small story. uh, I know it's a little bit long what I'm supposed to do, what I'm discussing here, but sorry, it is really important, right? It's not only for making beats, it's really for everything in life, right? So for me, um, where this really took a lot of significance, where this really took a lot of significance for me was a few years ago. I started making a lot of trips to Mexico, right? And I mean, I wasn't speaking in Spanish at the time, so I'm like, you know what? I'm in a country where I don't know the language. To really experience more of the culture and more of everything, it would be best for me to learn the language. And the only thing that was really that I found that really worked for me was just the application. So with my phone or with my computer, I could go on an app and learn a little bit. And the application that there are so many apps there, but the application that I selected to choose was Duolingo. What? So with that application, basically every day, I just really applied myself. It was 15 minutes just doing a few exercise, 15 minutes doing a few exercise, sometimes a little bit more, but I would say 10, 15 minutes every day, 10, 15 minutes every day, right? And I will say for the first year or for the first 2 years, I will say for the first year, there wasn't any big improvement or any improvement at all, right? It just seemed like all I was doing was basically for nothing. But Forwarding 4 years later, right? I'm in Mexico again, and talking with some people that I met there, and they're like, "Oh, your Spanish is pretty good, right? How did you learn? How did you went about it?" I'm like, "Just the application, just 5, 10, 15 minutes every day," and that was about 4 years later. I was now able to speak Spanish, understand a little bit more, and basically do a lot of things that I really wanted to do in Mexico, right? And this really was really key. So when I realized that it's because I applied myself every day for several days and several years, it really just opened up a lot of things for me. I'm like, I can basically learn anything that I want if I just apply myself and if I'm really consistent to it. So that's what I just wanna stress over here for you, that consistency is really key. You here, so you committed to learn. But even when you're gonna be done with it, just make sure that you carve out the time every day. Even if it is 5 minutes, but just make sure that you do that every day, every time, every year, and you're gonna see big improvement in whatever you want to learn. So I just want to leave you with that, and let's move on to the next video.